woman you loved. Just hunt him down. I can make all this go away.
Hello, he's Matt, I'm Nat, and we got your geek news right here.
And this week it's something pretty controversial, since this film hasn't been released yet, and posting a review of it has already gotten at least one dude fired.
Except Fox does not pay us, so we're in the clear. Anyway, we are talking about the Wolverine work print that was leaked.
Or planted.
Or planted last week. If you've seen the term or seen this version of Wolverine, you might wonder what exactly a work print is.
Basically, it's a version of a movie that's not finished yet. Whether it's just missing the score, or whether entire chunks of the film haven't even been shot, that makes it a work print.
Exactly. In the case of Wolverine, some effects shots aren't really quite done, look kind of cheesy, and so when Fox saw this particular version, they decided to go into millions of dollars in reshoots to change the shape of the film in some ways.
Now, I can say firsthand, as a director who's made a film and saw it get leaked to the internet before it was available for legitimate consumption, when it happened to me, the whole scenario just plain sucked for the creative team involved, and I hope Gavin Hood is weathering this leak well.
Hopefully, but Matt was lucky that the film was 99% done, so people wouldn't really prejudge 6 Reasons Why the way people are judging Wolverine right now.
So we're reviewing this work print more to see how Fox builds what they think will be a blockbuster, than to pass judgment on a half-baked work in progress.
Whatever the reason is you're doing this, focus on that. Maybe it will help.
Trust me, I've been through worse.
Okay, Wolverine's Origins comic was a watershed story about Logan, and this film really does borrow heavily from it.
Which is good to know. As someone who hasn't read Origins, the beginning was a little bit muddy. Who was whose father and such needed a little bit more explanation in my opinion.
And I was completely taken aback by what happened between the two half-brothers right after it.
But I thought it just made for a great intro sequence, seeing that transition from war to war to war, constantly taking each other's back. I thought it was really cool.
Absolutely. So essentially, if you've read Wolverine Origins, a lot of this is going to feel familiar, but it's not going to be quite the way you remember it.
Will.i.am is not actually as annoying as I was afraid he would be, and Gambit wasn't as cool as I hoped.
But Wolverine's overall arc was exactly what it had to be. This was an excellent telling of going through those motions.
And really, it's a great chance to see huge Ackman naked.
Yeah, there's that. But overall, without going into spoilers, I've got to say that there's a lot for X-Men and Wolverine fans to look forward to on May 1st, when something kind of like this work print is officially released.
Exactly. So let's get into the spoilers and into the real dirt.
Logan isn't the only piece of this puzzle. Hunt him down.
Okay, my main problem with the beginning of this film is that it lost the essential hook of the first issue of Origins. The mystery of who Wolverine would be, the father, then you've got two brothers. One is so much like Wolverine and one is this sick little child. It's such a great surprise.
Not to mention losing any sense it could have made with an extra 5 or 10 minutes of story.
Absolutely.
I think it could have
just
used
a little bit more would have been great. And you know what? As a result of being taken aback by that, I was taken further aback by that strong sibling relationship between Sabretooth and Wolverine for a century. That was completely unexpected.
I guess they weren't supposed to have that.
No!
But Sabretooth's sudden turn on Wolverine was even more unmotivated as a result,
Yeah,
right?
that kind of came out of nowhere. You know, the details of Wolverine's love interest and how she gets... Ultimately, that was changed a fair bit from the comic, but the effect was the same. Wolverine and Sabretooth hate each other forever because, you know, she's dead, whether she stays dead or not.
Yeah, kind of weird. The Weapon X team itself was actually pretty well assembled. I personally loved Agent Zero, just because of who played him. This is an actor named Daniel Henney, and I have a personal love for him because he's half Korean and made it huge in Korea a few years ago with this huge Korean drama series called My Name is Kim Samsun. So anyway, it's just nice on a personal level to see someone that's representing making it kind of into Hollywood right now. So go, Daniel.
I've got to say The Blob was one of my personal highlights. Did you just call me Blob?
That was maybe one of my favorite lines.
That was fantastic. Fantastic.
And you gotta love when bub gets used in Logan's vocabulary.
Absolutely.
It is the most random thing ever.
Now, my absolute favorite part of this was Ryan Reynolds. You know, whether it's Blade, you know, he's the highlight, no matter whether he's the main character or not.
Really, it's just his mouth and
You
his
know what?
wit.
He was such a champ as the smart mouth, sword-swinging Wade Wilson.
Exactly. Although the character was a little lackluster as a muted Deadpool at the end.
Disappointing. Ryan Reynolds' delivery and comedic timing makes Dane Cook sound like Stephen Hawking. So muting his character completely neutered the performance and screen presence of Deadpool, and it totally squashed the best part about Deadpool, which is his attitude.
Exactly. Although I must admit, the origin of Deadpool's name was actually pretty brilliant in this case, eh?
Gotta say, that was pretty awesome. I mean, originally in the comics, there's an origin, but the idea that the Deadpool it was
He's
just
a pool
so
of
good,
dead- yes.
so good.
Good.
In the
It's
Weapon
cool.
11, solid. Now, aside from the Weapon X characters, the added ensemble characters like Gambit,
No.
Agent Zero, White Queen, and of course Xavier and Cyclops really just made it feel like a fourth X-Men film, and not just some cheesy half-baked spin-off.
Which is actually very good to know. All in all, it ended with the expected amnesia reset button that we all knew was inevitable for
Now,
Logan.
the adamantium bullet through the adamantium skull, come on, that's lame.
It
It's
was a little bit
adamantium.
lame.
I don't know. The idea that Logan's got bullet holes in his skull for
It
the
is a little bit dodgy, right?
Yeah.
It is kind of...
this, and for me, this was such a good chance to shoot him in the eye.
Yes.
Don't shoot him through the skull. Shoot him through the eye. Give
You
him a
think it would
reason-
make sense, right?
Well,
He
yeah.
had him at point blank right
Give
there.
him a reason to make him Patch. It's right there. It was staring them in the face. He could have been Patch, but what can you do? What can you do?
Anyway, we'll be doing a preview and review of the film once it actually legally comes out.
Absolutely. We're going to be, the Monday before the release of Wolverine, we're going to be putting out our preview.
Exactly, and the Monday after will be when a review will be up. So
So you've
let's
got
see
that
how
to
much
look
it
forward
changes.
to. Yeah, we're really, and
And we're
in our
not
review,
saying you should go watch this one necessarily because illegal downloading is bad.
absolutely, and no matter how you get this, whether it's from an industry contact, whether it's not a finished film, don't pass judgment on it the way it is. Don't say anything about it that's negative, because this isn't the final film for
No.
people who don't know otherwise. You know otherwise. You know, but not everyone does. So the real trick is to keep this contained, make it something fanboys like us talk about, but when the movie comes out, we've got to judge the movie on
for
what
sure.
it is.
The movie, what it ends up being, the final thing.
That's what's going to matter. And
Yes.
it'll be very neat for people like us to compare. We'll have this work print to look at, and we'll have the final version, and we can just wail on Fox for ruining this, or we can compliment
Or
Fox
for making
improving
it better. Who
Absolutely.
knows? I mean, networks are usually the studios, but I don't know. I don't know how much weight you can put on them, but hopefully they make it better.
Absolutely. So let's see what happens. May 1st, everybody. Let's see what happens.
Ah!
Join me, but you will have your revenge.